Neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is this ability for us to rewire our brains, and this is based on the fact that cells which fire together wire together. Therefore, repetition rewires the brain and breeds habits. It does not distinguish whether they are positive or negative. This can be done through mental and physical practices. This means that we are able to rewire our brain for happiness and success. Let's learn a little bit about how our brains work. The brain is an organ in our head, a physical part of the body that controls how our bodies function. The mind is invisible as it cannot be seen or touched, but it consists of mental processes like our thoughts, perceptions, emotions, memories, and imagination. We'll be looking at our brain, bodies, and minds in today's workshop, as they work interchangeably to create our reality and experience of being in the world. The body. Our bodies are made up of intricate processes, all hardwired to keep us alive. Emotions are felt in our bodies. Maybe that feeling of joy which makes us sometimes feel light, or sadness which can sometimes bring a heaviness or pain into our body. Emotions can also get stuck in our bodies. Maybe you've got tense or sore shoulders before from stress or pain. Now, let's move to the invisible processes that occur from our mindset. The mind extends beyond the physical brain. It is the seat of consciousness and the essence of you. It involves your thoughts, feelings, attitude, belief, and imagination. Sometimes we need to do a little bit of housekeeping with our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, as they send signals to our brains that either put us into negative or positive states. Our brain is made up of 3 parts that control how we function. We have the oldest part of our brain, known as our reptilian or our mammalian brain, or the stress brain, and this is responsible for our general survival and our instincts, like our flight or fight responses. It controls blood circulation, breathing, digestion, and sex. Then we have our limbic system, the emotional brain. This is the next part of the brain that developed in the evolution of humans, and it plays a role in our survival, our emotions, our memories, and our hormones. The last part of our brain to develop, and the absolute newest part, is the thinking brain, the neocortex. Our thinking brain involves our perception of sense, our ability for abstract thoughts, spatial reasoning, moral reasoning, generating motor commands, and language. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to look at this picture and find as many red objects as you can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now tell me how many green objects you saw. It's not so easy. Our attention goes to where we direct it. We just need to start directing it away from its negative bias to dip into a positive mindset. Our brains are actually wired to detect threat. It is always trying to keep us alive, so it's scanning your internal and external environment for danger. It's a survival setting that we're born with. It's therefore naturally biased towards negative states. We have to cultivate practices that shift this. We just need to start directing it away from its negative bias to dip into a positive mindset. This is achievable through neuroplasticity, which means we're all capable of rewiring our brains if we are willing to do the hard work. We are able to train our brains to see the world in a more positive light. We also need to be aware of positive and negative emotions. We need to see how they look and how they feel when we experience them. It is important to remember that we cannot bypass negative states 24/7, as these emotions often need airtime. They need to be felt, observed, and let go of in order for them to be processed fully so that they do not end up resurfacing at a later stage in a more extreme way. So today's workshop is not telling you to ignore those painful emotions completely, because without sadness we wouldn't know joy. Staying positive does not mean that you are not allowed to feel negative emotions and that you have to be happy all the time. Rather, looking at the brighter side offers you a way to also access your positive mindset, which will in turn strengthen your ability to tolerate, accept, and work with adverse emotions, and to return to a calmer, more joyful state quicker than you normally would. So staying positive means that you will still experience a range of emotions, but they will not taint your entire life. Negative emotions are toxic to our bodies as they disrupt harmonious functioning. These are things like fear, shame, anxiety, sadness, hatred, jealousy, envy, and holding a grudge. We all know that feeling these can be painful, both psychologically and physically. These states disrupt the flow of energy and hormones through the body, weaken the immune system, and affect the digestion and our heart health. There is a connection between these emotions and physical disease. We have all experienced these emotions and will probably continue to experience them in varying degrees throughout our lives. For the majority of us, we do not want to spend a lot of time in these spaces because it just doesn't feel too good. Acknowledging our emotions, naming them, and outing them is an important part in processing them. Whether this is simply saying to yourself, I'm having this feeling of anxiety, or talking about it to someone and getting support, or journaling about it. On the other end of the spectrum, we have positive emotions, feelings of joy, happiness, laughter, contentment, peace, compassion, motivation, love, affection, gratitude, hope, inspiration, and awe. These emotional states strengthen the immune system, heal, and revitalize the body. So, we have a choice. And lucky us, because our minds can train our brains to be happier by shifting our focus into the positive aspects of life in order to build new neural pathways. Just like we did with the red and green color exercise, we can do it now with a pleasant or happy experience. Success is not the key to happiness, happiness is the key to success. So I just want you to take a moment to sit up straight, take a nice deep breath. If you're holding your shoulders up, allow them to just relax down. If there's any clenching in your jaw, allow that to soften. And just become aware of your body, breath, and how you feel. Now close your eyes. And I just want you to, for a second, we're not going to be here long, I just want you to picture one of your happiest memories. See it, smell it, taste it, touch it, listen to it. Really immerse yourself in it. And just linger on this memory for a few seconds. Now gently feel the corners of your mouth lift a little into a smile. There. We began the process of rewiring the brain, making it more susceptible and prone to positive thoughts and experiences. And just through the physical act of smiling, you created a positive bias in your brain. Let's look at some practices we can implement from today to start training our brain to shift gears into positivity mode. Everything is connected, body, mind, and brain, so we need to take care of them all. Let's start with looking at ways to tend to the body. Food. Eating nourishing food that feeds your microbiome, which is your gut, and that needs a range of healthy veggies and fruits to be happy. It's an important aspect of our emotional health because our gut actually produces serotonin, which is a mood stabilizing chemical in our body that aids our happiness. Moving the body. This also has some chemical and hormonal payoffs, which we'll look into shortly, but I'm sure most of you have experienced a positive shift in mood and mind after exercise. Maybe you could see things clearly, or you felt more motivated and energized. Maybe you felt revitalized and happy. A key component is our sleep hygiene and rest, which are so important. They put your entire body, brain, and mind into its reset setting. This allows your body to do its housekeeping. It cleanses your vital organs, detoxes your blood, and recovers functioning in you. On a mindset level, rest and deep sleep sift through your day, your emotions and memories in order to start filing and processing them so that you wake up with a clear mind. That's why we sometimes have to sleep on our decisions. The brain is busy storing new information and getting rid of toxic waste. It's also communicating to the body by sending signals to repair cells, releasing hormones, and restoring energy. All this stuff is pretty important. If you're not getting enough deep sleep and you are going to bed late and then waking up early, you're probably burning the candle at both ends, and pretty soon there'll be no candle left, which means you're going to be feeling tired all the time, you're going to be lacking motivation or energy to do anything. My recommendation is to make sure that you're sleeping at least 8 hours a night. Now let's look at how we tend to the mind and brain. Let's look at hacking some of our happiness chemicals. Over here we get dopamine. This is our reward chemical. We can get this chemical from completing a task, doing some self-care activities, eating really yummy food, celebrating little wins. Then we get oxytocin. This is our love hormone. We can get this from playing with a dog or a baby, holding someone's hand, hugging a family member. Even hugging yourself has been known to release oxytocin, or giving a compliment. Then we get our mood stabilizer, serotonin. We can get this through meditating, running, going in the sun for a little bit, walking in nature, swimming, and cycling. Then we have nature's natural painkiller, endorphins. We can get this through laughter, through smelling essential oils, watching a comedy, eating yummy dark chocolate, and exercising. So we looked at dopamine, and that's that reward chemical that gets released by your brain when you eat some yummy ice cream or complete your exam or see that your post has lots of likes. And as with anything, dopamine is great in moderation, but in excess, it's not so great. Dopamine is associated with addictive behaviors. When this area becomes frequently activated, it becomes hard to stop doing the things that activate it. So sometimes we need to limit the intake of social media. It feels weird because that makes you happy, but that's a short-term release related to not feeling good over the long term. It pulls too much dopamine and it makes everything else boring. So if you've been on social media too long, on TikTok, on Instagram, or even watching series, looking at your work is going to feel very boring after that. So you're further dysregulating your emotions and not overstimulating yourself, which makes work feel boring and decreases our focus and reduces our motivation. A dopamine detox means going cold turkey for at least 24 hours off all of those things. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Netflix, all social media that's releasing excess dopamine into your system. This resets your system so that when you wake up the next day, starting on work won't seem so boring. And a little bit of perspective on what we can and cannot control. So not only should we be keeping our space tidy and clean where we live and work, we should be doing regular maintenance on our thoughts to make sure we're clearing out thoughts that do not serve us or that we have no control of, and focusing on things that we can control. We are social beings and thrive through connection and relationships that support us. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with the people that lift you up, and set boundaries around toxic relationships so that you stay in your worth. Also reach out and help where you can, whether you can help tutor a classmate or listen to a friend in need or volunteer your services. This puts things into perspective for us and often helps us step out of our own way. I now want you to choose 3 positive affirmations that you're going to start using from today. You can make a note on your phone, put them on your wall, write them in your diary, but remember to practice them daily. So pick 3 now, any. These are some of mine. And I just want you to take a moment to think of how you take care of yourself. Just think about that for a few seconds before we move into our next activity. If you're struggling to think of some things, here are some examples for you. Maybe pick some of these. I might practice some deep breathing today. Maybe I'll go through a gratitude list. And maybe I'm going to help someone. I might even do something creative. Take a moment to select something you're going to do today and maybe even this week. Gratitude is like an antidote to negative feelings. It squeezes them out and creates more space for you, all the positive emotions to enter. It does this on a neurochemical level by releasing our happy chemical as we activate the reward center in our brain. Oprah is the queen of gratitude. Consistency is key as gratitude builds on itself, and we know that we can rewire this into our brain. So your challenge starting today for the next 21 days is to name 3 things you're grateful for every day. There have to be different things each day. I want you to set a reminder now and get going. Maybe you can think of some at the moment. What are you grateful for right now, in this very moment?